Welcome to Creativity Worth Expressing. I'm your host, Ryan Anthony Hernandez, and our special guest for this episode is Lorwen Nagle, who will be sharing with us her love for art, her love for painting. And at the end of the interview, I will be sharing some of the paintings that are available so you can check them out. And in the show notes, I'll be leaving more information where you can find these paintings and where you can find more information about Lorwen Nagle. So enjoy this episode and stay tuned for the end.
Hi, I'm Lorwen Harris Nagle, and I am a painter as well as a psychologist. My painting, I was an oil painter and still am, but right now I'm a contemporary acrylic painter. My initial spark for painting was when I was a kid. So I had a grandmother that was an oil painter, and she painted landscapes, and I grew up in Texas. So she painted scenes of like the Wild West. And she set up a still life on the kitchen table when I was 8, and that was my first oil painting. And so she was my initial spark. But I went in, got a degree in clinical psych, and then in 2003, I started painting again. There were several years in there between 8 years old and 2003 and 4. And that's when I picked up oil painting and picked it up with a gusto and started painting landscape, outdoor painting. And now I'm paint really large acrylic pieces that are both abstract and kind of what I'd call neo-contemporary kind of landscape work. When I started painting outdoors, outdoor painting is really demanding because not only do you set up your easel and all your paints and palette right, let's say on a bridge, or where you're painting a scene, a water scene or something like that, and you have people who are walking by who always want to talk to you, and so I used to wear big headphones, and that was a ritual that I would get into so that people wouldn't talk to me. And and because for me, painting is a very serious endeavor. It's not chatting, and it requires. So outdoors, the light is changing, the weather's changing, the scene that I've initially pegged as what I'm going to paint has shifted. And so I have to remember and capture what I can't chase the light. That was a big thing in landscape painting, is everybody wants to chase the light and they mess up their painting if they do that. So, and I would say in indoors, in studio painting, I get into some serious work, but I don't have, the ritual would be that I don't like people. Like I lock the door coming into the studio or just knocking in. And sometimes people will do that. So I will lock the door so that I don't get any, interruptions. When I was an oil painter and painting outdoors, it was the scenes outdoors. And I was not into, so in 2005 and on upwards, I didn't start acrylic painting until 2021. So I was an oil painter throughout that time, and people would paint off of photographs. I did not like to paint off of photographs. My sense is that you capture some ethos, some it's an exciting quality when you paint from nature in real life, that you don't get when you paint from, let's say, Procreate or, an image on your phone or something like that.
What role does color theory, composition, and light play in your paintings?
So I would say all three of those play a big role in my paintings. Um, so color theory is, you always want to know the complements, um, and partly you want to know those complements, like red and blue. I mean, red and green are complements of each other. Blue and orange complements. Yellow and purple complements. So when you mix the complements, you get a beautiful gray, and you get these various light, or let me say cool and warm grays. And those are critical in my mind. And that all is based on color theory. Now, composition has to do with Gestalt. So you have a Gestalt is a German word for good fit. And painting should always have a sense of rightness about them. So when I used to teach with this other painter, we would do critiques all the time of the students' artwork. And so if you have something that's coming off the edge, that's not a good composition. Maybe it's a picket fence, and the post is going out of the picture plane. That is poor composition, because leads the viewer's eye out of your picture. So you always want to bring people into the picture plane. Light is very important. I am captured by light because light is what gives volume to images. Not just volume that you see out, in nature, but for instance, if you have even a vase of flowers or something like that, it's the light that turns the form. It's very provocative in a way. So light is critical. So that one was done around, I would say around November, December of last year, so 2023. And it has in it elements. So I was a big horseback rider growing up in Texas. And and so it has in this painting a lot of what I took is an old photograph of myself and my best friend when we were about 10 on horses. And then I drew it really large. Then I cut it out and I made these sort of vellum templates. And then I put those onto this piece. And so this piece had no sense of where it was going. And that's part of the reason I like it so much, is that it was pure free associating, and allowing myself to just keep on layering it, and not worry or care about what I was layering over, and let the process kind of speak to me.
Mhm.
So there was more of a dialogue between the painting and myself. What I can show you one other one if you want.
Sure.
Okay. So there there's so I live on the seacoast, and there are these big salt piles that are in the Portsmouth harbor. So this is one piece. They actually have two. So this is one where, we're speaking of light. So the light in the clouds, and this is the other one that goes with it. And these both have a lot of light in the sky and darkness in the water, and these are the salt piles with cranes and things like that. But these two are elements of they were done outdoors, actually. And then there's the UFO over there.
How do you see your art evolving in the future?
It's a good question, because I'm doing a lot of writing, and I think my art is it's evolving. Like I'm going to show you a couple of others that just came in from the being wet mounted. So these I call the pals. They're two dogs, and this is another horse. And I think they are representative of the way in which my art is moving. So I believe my art I'm sort of semi-representational. So it's not complete abstraction. But I like to depict things, but they are coming out of my imagination. So I'm big on allowing myself to go into the process and see what comes forward. Well, there's one guy that I really do like. Yeah, he's quite expensive at this point. His name is Peter Doig. It's Doig. And he's contemporary romanticism, I would say. And I feel that I move in that direction. And his work has this sort of melancholy. There's a guy from the 18th century called Caspar David Friedrich, and I think Peter Doig's work is kind of represents that. It's what I'd call meta painting. So it's painting about painting. It's a pretty amazing process, but what it is that in the painting itself, you try to capture not just a representation of what it is that you see, or even what is in your mind, but you capture an element that somebody recognizes they're looking at a painting. Now, if that makes sense to you, it's that they're not just going in and seeing something, like I said, the salt piles, but you recognize you're actually in the process like the painter was. So I would hope to be able to achieve what Peter Doig is doing. So he's my hero.
This is the last question. Why is creativity worth expressing?
I think it's part of the soul of who we are. So I could get philosophical on you.
Sure.
But it's so there's a philosopher, actually, a current philosopher at UC Berkeley. His name is Alvin Noe, and it's Noe, not no, okay, and I've been in touch with him, but he actually thinks, and I agree with this, that human beings are animals. We're animals. Like we have to, we have to survive, we have to eat, we have to procreate, we do all these other things. But there's an element of the human that is beyond that. It's where we ponder who we are and why we're existing the way we exist. And that part is creativity. And that part allows us to to represent something. We call it represent, but we're representing our life in these creative ways. So it could be music, it could be, painting like it is for me. It could be dance, but all these creative outlets for us are the ways in which we feed our souls and we feed who we are, or who we are beyond just this existence, I think.